All right. Hi, and welcome to our Beef Brunch news update for Tuesday, June 22nd. I'm Ashley Edwards. With me are Lee Falk, Jason Holmes, and Vince Desatel. It's been kind of sunny for the past week until today. It's been good to see sunshine. I know my social media has been blowing up with people getting hay up finally. Between that and I guess apparently ERCOT told Texans to keep their AC at about 78. That's all I've been seeing for the past week, but it's been good to see some sunshine. I'm sure most of the state's getting a tiny bit of rain today. Vince was just saying that it's raining pretty good there where he's at. So Vince, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it over and do our field update and status and everything for Central and South Louisiana.
Thank you, Ashley. It's a pleasure to be here with y'all again today. As we spoke before we started recording this newscast, we had 8 or 10, 12 days of good weather. We finally got to finish doing some things out in the crop sector as far as planting soybeans. We have a very young crop, which should be at mid-season at this point. But however, we're just getting it all going at this point. But anyhow, as far as the cattle sector, hay fields are finally started to dry out with that run of sunshine and warmer temperatures, and a lot of fertilizer went out on hay fields the last several days. We're raining again now, but we're starting to see where fertilizer went out, a lot of armyworm pressure. Also, the hornfly populations are picking up dramatically here the last week or 10 days. So if there's any means or whatever your protocol is for your hornfly management, it's time to have it in play right now, because they're getting pretty populated in most cattle herds. And with that being said, we're just waiting on the conditions. We're behind. We've lost the hay cutting, due to the cool, wet spring. We went from cool, wet to hot and dry, and it seems like we're getting some more seasonable type thunder showers as we speak today and into tomorrow and most of the week. So temperatures are going to be moderate in the upper 80s, and nighttime temperatures near 70. So we should start to see our pastures really improve as far as the amount of forages that will be available to our livestock sector, and also for producing hay. But it's just been a wild ride of a spring, and went from cool and wet to hot and moderately dry. But the low spots that had been wet through the spring are still somewhat wet. So we got challenges here in South and Central Louisiana, where we have more of a less of a flatter terrain than in the northern part of the state, where it takes a longer period for things to dry out. So with that being said, the calf market is moderate, to good on better cattle. The plainer cattle are not selling as well. Kill cows and bulls, as we watch the local markets here at the barns, have been excellent, with kill cows bringing in the upper 60s to low 70s, and bulls that are high yielding, well over $1 in some cases. So that's a positive sign ahead of the busiest part of the grill season coming up July the 4th. So there is some optimism there in the market, and with the board trading, I'm sure Jason will cover that in his marketing sector, but the boards show some promise for later this summer into the fall and into next year. So that's all I have at this point, but things are considerably better than they were, say, 6 weeks ago, as we enter more of a summer pattern, and hopefully we get the hay made that we need, but we're behind the 8 ball as we speak.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to jump in with just one small disclaimer, I guess. And if we sound like we're cutting out, thunderstorms are messing with Vince's internet and mine down at the lab that I'm at. It's not always the greatest, so I apologize if we have any disruptions there. Also, since Vince mentioned going from kind of cool to warm, I was on a farm visit this morning, and I was actually looking at some goats, but they already had their shade cloths up and everything ready to go. And so I just wanted to throw in a short note that, yes, we've been kind of fortunate with some cooler weather. I guess in terms of stress for the animals, it's been a little bit cooler. But as we start to progress into the summer, be thinking about those shade requirements for those animals, be thinking about those water requirements, double check everything and make sure you're ready to go, particularly as it really starts to heat up as we move into July and into August. Lee, sorry I'm taking up some of your time. We'll go ahead and turn it over to you for the Northwest region update.
Well, Thank you, Ashley. As far as my update goes, you could probably take what Vince said and just substitute in what what I've got to say as far as Northwest Louisiana goes. I had the exact same thing wrote down in my notes that Vince just uh, stated. Cool. We went from cool to wet to hot to moderately dry up here. These hills in north central Louisiana, they sure do dry out pretty quick, and starting to see some signs needing some rain, which, as Ashley stated, we're getting some rain as we speak, off and on showers, and talking about some thunderstorms moving in here later. There's still a few cattle being worked around here. You talk to somebody and they'll say, "Well, we got so far behind this spring and uh, real wet in locations and just never got around to it." And folks still catching up there, as well as trying to get some fly control. These horse flies are as bad as I've seen them in several years. It's been quite some time since I've seen horsefly populations being what they are. Was feeding some hay to some cattle we had penned up the other night. Left the tractor door open. Got back in. It took me 5-10 minutes to kill all the horseflies in there to keep them from eating me alive. But so fly control is definitely a hot topic right now. And when we're talking about some fly control options, I'm not going to go into any detail on one versus the other, but I just want to call everybody's attention to the fact that these minerals that have fly control in insect growth regulators and so on and so forth in them, that may not be enough right now to knock these populations down. It may have to be a multi-pronged approach between a back rubber or pour on and maybe a IGR or something of that nature, just to try to get these things in check and at a manageable level. We just finished with our Louisiana County Agricultural Agents Association's annual meeting we had back a couple of weeks ago in Natchitoches. It was sure nice to get together with everybody and visit with other extension agents from throughout the state. And we had tours on several different farms and facilities across Northwest Louisiana, and just about every place we went to, everybody we talked to was commenting on the wet conditions and how far back everything is. Just like Vince said, most folks have lost a cutting of hay essentially, and so it's really apparent as you're traveling around just how far behind everybody feels that we are in regards to this truly unique spring that we've had. But it was good to get together and see everybody on that. As Vince stated as well, the cattle prices showing strength around here. A lot of people are getting those fall calves marketed and trying to get them gone. They're looking hard at some of these cull cows, some of these cows that maybe aren't the most productive, that maybe need to make a trip to town, trying to cash in a little bit on those. And of course, we've got army worms here. Talked to two producers in the last 8 hours, in fact, that are battling some pretty significant populations of army worms. And we've talked about army worms on our Beef Brunch educational series before. Real good talk on that. If you want to go back in and give that a check out, or reach out to one of us on some control methods as that goes. I'm surprised, but then again, I'm not at how many people are truly worried about some hay supplies right now. You can sense, no matter who you talk to, if they're in the cattle business, they're really worried. Estimates, you'll talk to people that are a little bit behind as far as total hay production, to those that are just truly behind. Talked to a guy last week, said that he actually hadn't been able to hook a hay cutter up yet this year, even with this drying period. He's in a particularly low-lying area over in the Red River Valley, and it's just been too wet. I want to take just a minute to welcome. We've got a new hire with us with the LSU AgCenter. Yeah, Chuck Griffin was our county agent for many years and dairy specialist out of DeSoto Parish, and he really made a lot of contributions to agriculture up in our corner of the world. we greatly miss Chuck and wish him the best in retirement. But I just want to welcome Joshua Sally. I know he watches these news updates from time to time, and I want to welcome Josh. He's been hired as our new county agent here in DeSoto Parish. So I've talked to a couple folks over DeSoto way that listen to these news updates. If you haven't, most everybody knows Josh over there, but if you hadn't had a chance to stop in and say hello, give him a call, and know that we got a good person in there for that job, stop in and visit with Josh or give him a call, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to close up, Ashley, with saying that through the course of the spring and even a little bit before that, we run into folks and hear that they watch these news updates and comment on our beef brunch educational series and say they enjoy it, and we really enjoy the feedback. So if you're watching this and you got some feedback, good, bad, or ugly, even if it means dumping that Lee Falk character, he's no good 100%, reach out to us and just let us know. Let us know your thoughts and stuff that you're seeing in your part of the world and ways that we can improve. We're always looking for improvement. So with that, Ashley, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
You don't get off that easy. I'm sorry, y'all. If you put those comments that Lee gets to leave, it's not going to happen. We're going to keep him around for a little bit. Jason, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for your update and go on into the markets whenever you're ready.
Thank you, ma'am. And I don't know that our field report's any different than anybody else's, other than the fact it's kind of like Lee said, we had a lot of hay get put up in the last week and a half. And just about every place I went by, there was hay rolled up, and folks there is certainly an amount of urgency out there in terms of folks trying to get these hay fields cut and start getting some hay in the barn. So that's probably a norm across North Louisiana. Everybody's mentioned army worms. I guess the one caveat that I will put in there, just a reminder to folks, is whenever you're putting out those insecticides, most of the time when we're spraying herbicides, we're running about 12 gallons per acre. When we start putting out those herbicides, we need to be up closer to 20 gallons per acre. Need a good bit of water volume when we're going out with those insecticides, especially if there's a good bit of standing forage out there. And we need to make sure that we've got that machine putting out on the upper end of that scale. I mean, 16 to 20 gallons per acre whenever we're putting out those insecticides. So just keep that in mind. The last thing you want to do is go spend $2.50 to $3 an acre on armyworm control if you're just putting out one product and don't get a good kill. The other caveat I will add too is whenever you're using the permethrins, remember that when you get a rainfall, they're basically done. They're not going to persist much past a rainfall. So as we keep getting these regular rainfalls, keep that in mind. Moving into the markets, and I got a couple of headlines as we go through this. I want to touch on some things that came out in the news over the last couple of weeks that I think are definitely worthy of making y'all aware of. But the markets right now, 2 weeks of larger slaughter volumes. So just to kind of give you some numbers. So this past week, ending on June 19th. So we had a slaughter date on June 19th, that Saturday. So we finished up the week at 663,000 head. The prior week, 665,000 head. Year ago, 646,000 head. So those numbers right there will tell you that our weekly harvests are moving up. So what we're seeing is that's improvement to the leverage is switching over to the live animal side, to the cow seller, instead of to the processor as we start working through that backlog that was in the feed yards. So there's no question that the trend is smaller placements and larger marketing numbers when we compare it to the previous year. So as we start looking at the cattle prices this week, hopefully we would continue to see a stronger market on the live animal side. Choice box beef cutout values finished the week at $8.61 lower, $329.72 a hundred. The choice select spread finished the week at $37.22, which is up $6 from the previous week. So, and most of the buying up for the 4th of July holiday in terms of those choice cuts, most of that buying has already taken place. So historically, naturally, we should see these choice box beef cutouts start trickling down as we move further into the summer. So Dr. Darrell Peel recently reported, he was on Oklahoma Farm News Network. I listened to one of his reports on there, and he believes that within the next few weeks, we should be getting packer capacity to a point that we're not in such a bind in the short run. They've been working on such a narrow cliff there for the last, and I won't even give it a time frame. And they've been working on a really narrow cliff. But he suspects within in the next few weeks, we should be getting them to a point that they're not struggling so much, and these feed yards are getting more current every day. So that hopefully will get our cattle market, our live animal markets, back to behaving the way that we would historically expect them to start acting. So looking at a couple of headlines real quick, since we're talking about some of that. And Ashley, I'll send you, I think I sent y'all a link to this earlier. So if we could put this into the description, that would be helpful. The Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry has scheduled a Wednesday hearing. That's this coming Wednesday. That would be June the 23rd. It'll take place at 2:30. So the hearing is titled Examining Markets, Transparency, and Prices from Cattle Producer to Consumer. So if you've read any of the news cycles lately in terms of the cattle industry, you know that there has been a big push for some legislative action in terms of looking at some of these disparities between the meat side and the live animal side in terms of pricing. So they finally got that committee, that hearing that'll be heard by the Senate Ag Committee this coming Wednesday, and we'll put a link to that. You can watch it. It'll be live streamed on the from the U.S. Senate Ag Committee's website, so you can join that and watch that live stream if you so choose. USDA has announced it plans to invest more than $4 billion to strengthen critical supply chains, including animal production and meat processing. So if you've heard us talk any during the pandemic, you've heard several times that slaughter capacity was an issue. And we realized that there was a lot of that regional, smaller capacity that had gotten swallowed up by some of the bigger companies. So it looks like that there is going to be a push to invest some dollars into that supply chain. Along those lines, I was sharing, I don't remember, Ashley, one day towards the end of the week that American Food Groups announced it's going to build a new state-of-the-art beef harvest facility to support its growth strategy to advance the U.S. beef capacity. So American Food Group is the nation's 5th largest beef processor. So it looks like they're going to be expanding some of their processing capacity through that company. So that's always a good thing whenever we can increase that. USDA Secretary Vilsack did say that in one of the subcommittee hearings over the past couple of weeks that they are preparing in USDA for a significant expansion in the U.S. beef slaughter capacity. They're preparing their office for that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the coming year in terms of how much capacity we do get expanded. But I encourage you to jump in if you have time this coming Wednesday and just listen to some of the comments. I know there's several different news sources you can read out there in terms of who some of the rumors are that'll be some of the ones testifying in that hearing. But I definitely think, looking at some of the names that I've seen, it'll definitely be a good, some good information that should come to light. Moving back into the markets to finish up the week in the 5-area feeding region, Fed steer negotiated cash sales ranged from 121 to 125 on a confirmed 65,275 head. So the first time in 7 weeks that we've seen this much improvement in live prices. We talked about that in the last news update, how we were just kind of stale in terms of live prices. So this is the first time in 7 weeks that we've seen this kind of improvement. Most recent futures quote showed August down 52 cents at 121.02, October down 32 cents at 126.62, and December down 20 cents at 130.30. However, those may be trending downward a little bit right now. That's still some pretty good price support on those live animals. 500 to 600 pound steers, medium and large 1s to 2s, sold between 145 and 149. So that's steady to $10 higher from a week ago. Some really good, strong support there on those 5 to 6 weights. 700 to 800 pound feeder steers, medium and large 1s and 2s, sold between 130 and 140. So again, that's $4 to $10 higher from the previous week. Most recent quotes on the same class of cattle showed August trading down 35 cents at 154.67, September down 15 cents at 157.07, and October up 5 cents at 159.10. So it's coming to fruition. Back in the springtime, we were expecting that those 7 and 8 weight class cattle were going to be doing pretty well towards the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. So it definitely seems like that's coming to light. Lean cull cows are still strong, as Vince mentioned earlier. So they're averaging out about 62 cents. They're ranging from 60 to 70 cents, which is up about 3 cents from the previous week. So those processors are continuing to show up their supply of ground beef in preparation of the 4th of July holiday. I thought that was kind of neat. Lee mentioned some of the tours that we made the other day. So the folks there at Red River Livestock were nice enough to open their doors up to us. And that was one of the things I can remember. I don't remember if it was Jesse or Chuck, but one of them mentioned that this is the time of year that historically you would want to try to move some of those cull cows. Is because those processors are looking for those ground beef supplies. I mean, there's more hamburgers cooked around the 4th of July, so they need those ground beef supplies. So we are seeing some pretty good, strong price support there for those culls. Moving into feed stuff, so the soybean meal, and I hope y'all see the trend in this, that they are everything's trending down. Which is good for us on the livestock side, as we're feeding a lot of these commodities. Soybean meal trading down $24.90 at $392.40 a ton. Soybean hulls are steady at $155 a ton. Cottonseed meal down $17.50 at $335 a ton. Whole cottonseed is steady at $390 a ton. Rice bran steady at $140 a ton. Corn gluten feed meal, that's a 60%, is down $15 at $640 a ton. DDGs are down $12.50 at $200 a ton. And corn is down about 4 cents a bushel at $5.70 a bushel. And that is all I have, Ashley. I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. Just a few things to wrap up. So some upcoming events. I know we mentioned this the last news update, but our next news update will be July 6th, and we will have Dr. Ed Twidwell coming on to visit with us. The AgCenter is reopening their forage testing lab, so that is going to reopen on July 1st, and Dr. Twidwell will go into that a little bit more on July 6th. But if you if you want samples sent in prior to when we have our news update, again, they are opening on July 1st. You can just reach out to your local extension agent and they'll help you get in contact with the forage lab and send in your samples there. Our next webinar will be on July 13th. We have Dr. Ron Strahan coming in to talk about weed management in pastures and hayfields. We had him last year and had some technical difficulties, and so he's going to come in and talk about some updates on some of the products that we've got, different things on the market now. So we look forward to having him on the 13th. July 16th, the Rapides Parish Cattlemen's Association, Louisiana Cattlemen's Association, Louisiana Beef Industry Council, and I'm sure there's probably somebody else in there, but are sponsoring Dr. Temple Grandin. And she's going to be coming and speaking at the State Evacuation Shelter. In conjunction with that, we do have a beef cattle forum that's going to start earlier that afternoon. We have a handful of our AgCenter agents and specialists that are going to be talking that afternoon. I'll put all that information in the video and podcast descriptions for you. You do have to RSVP to be able to get into that event, to both the forum as well as Dr. Grandin's seminar. You can go to one, you can go to both. But you do need to RSVP for whichever one you want to go to. So again, more information will be in the video and podcast descriptions for that. And then on Tuesday, July 20th, we are launching the virtual Dean Lee Field Day. So that's going to include agronomy, horticulture, beef cattle, a little bit of everything. So once that comes up, we'll have that linked as well. But just have it on your calendar and be on the lookout for that. With that, I think that's all that I have, unless the guys have anything else that y'all can think of to throw in there. I'm seeing some no's. So we will be back with y'all in July. We hope that you have a safe, wonderful July 4th holiday if any of you are traveling, and eat some extra hamburgers.